When I first met my wife, I turned our relationship something into a 50-50 dynamic. What that meant was I believed that sometimes I should be paying for her and sometimes she should be paying for me, and sometimes I should be driving, sometimes she should be driving me around. We're both doing things for each other. We're both providing for each other. We're both taking care of each other. This is not a healthy relationship. This is often what men and women are indoctrinated to believe is healthy, but it's not. Even worse, much worse, like 10 times worse, is a relationship where the woman is fully in the caretaking role, where the man is leading her through his expectations or direction or even just moping about it, leading her into being the one that is planning the dates, who is driving him around, who is paying for his stuff. That is about as unhealthy a relationship as can possibly be. So what we're going to be talking about today is why this is problematic, why it is so unnatural, what a healthy dynamic is supposed to look like, and why. Hello, my name is Zach Rohde. I'm here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that below. Hit the notification bell and be sure to like this video because I'm going to make sure it's a good one for you today. If you would like to learn how to inspire a man into cherishing you, go below this video, open up the description. You're going to see the links to all of my offers. A great place to start is my free webinar at zachrohdecoaching.com, where I'll show you how to shift out of your unhealthy control patterns that are repelling men and show you how to inspire a man by shifting into healthy patterns and communication instead. All right. So we got lots of unhealthy relationships today. I really don't like hearing from women, especially when they are in this toxic dynamic where a man is leading her to be in the more masculine role. Either be in the more masculine role or lead her into doing this kind of 50-50 dynamic. It's not healthy, doesn't feel good for a woman, really doesn't feel good for the man either, even if he's getting some kind of tangible benefit out of it. The reason that I led my wife into a 50-50 dynamic where she's planning a lot of the dates, she's paying for a lot of the things, and she is driving me around to a lot of places, is because my masculine instinct was not fully online. I was basically in many ways like a boy in a grown-up body, because that's what a man's mindset, a man who does that still has a boyhood mindset. He doesn't have the mindset of a man. And it's because his masculine instinct is not online. Now, back then, I was still a lot of fun. I was very charming. I had great social skills. I had a lot of good things about me, which is what attracted my wife to me in the first place. I could get pretty much, for the most part, any girl that I wanted because I was so confident in myself. But then when I got into a relationship with a woman, any relationship, including the one with my wife, things would eventually start to become problematic. And they would be problematic because I didn't know how to be in that masculine role. I didn't understand that that is a man's role. I didn't understand how unhealthy it is to not be in that role. And it's because when my instinct is not online, when a man's instinct is not fully online, he doesn't feel that drive, that desire to take care of the woman that he is with. Because the masculine role is the caretaking role. And that means he is the one that is leading the relationship. He is the one that is providing financially and otherwise. He is the one that is making the decisions, who's making the plans, who's creating the boundaries, the expectations for how things are going to be. That doesn't mean that a woman doesn't have a voice, that she just has to silently go along with everything. No, she absolutely does and should have a voice using what I call feminine communication. This is what I teach my academy students. But it's done in a feminine way where she's not energetically trying to lead. She's not trying to get an outcome. She's just vulnerably expressing what is coming up for her, both her negative and positive feelings, her needs that she has, her unmet needs, the problems that she's experiencing, and then having faith that a man is going to do something about it and lead better. So in that, what I call polarized dynamic, it is like a salsa dance. where the man is the one that's in charge. He's leading on the dance floor. He's choosing where to go. He's choosing the speed of the dance, everything. And the woman is following. She's flowing along with her man's leadership. And that is what feels good for both of them, right? Like if you've ever danced before, if you've danced with a man, especially any kind of traditional dance, you know it feels better when the man is in charge and he's confident in his leadership and he's taking care of you. Energetically, his heart is open to you and he's trying to give you an amazing experience on that dance floor. And then you just get to submit to that. You just get to flow with that. You follow his leadership and it feels so good to be taken care of and led in that kind of way. When a man's masculine instinct is fully online, he is going to have that desire. What happened to me a few years later in my marriage was that my masculine instinct fully came online. And all of a sudden, I didn't want to do this 50-50 thing anymore. The funny thing is that I was actually doing a lot of leading in my marriage prior to this. It's just that I was leading her to step into the masculine role. Hey, come drive me over here in your car. You pay for these dates. You plan these dates. Right? I'm telling her to do this, but I'm pushing her into that role, which is just going to masculinize her, and it's not going to feel good for her. No woman feels amazing being led by her man to drive him all around town or to plan dates for the two of them. That doesn't feel good. When a man's masculine instinct is fully online, though, he's actually going to feel bad. Like it's going to feel weird to lead a woman to do that. And he's actually going to feel so good planning dates for his woman and to fully provide for his woman and to be the one that's always in the driver's seat, not just physically in the car, but in the relationship. He's the one that is driving, and the woman is a passenger, but an active passenger, one who's communicating all of her feelings and needs and all of that. That is how a man is supposed to be. So if you have experienced or you are experiencing a man who is leading you to lead in any kind of way in the relationship, either all the time, 70% of the time, 30% of the time, 10% of the time, if you participate in that, if you follow his lead, you are, number one, dishonoring your heart. And if you're really in touch with your feelings, you should feel some kind of discomfort there, whether it's an anxiety or an irritation or sadness or something. So it's like something feels kind of off. So you're participating in that and you're enabling his own wounding. You're enabling his wounding so that he's going to stay stuck in that. He's never going to grow out of that. He's never going to grow up into a man, or at least it will be very unlikely that he will. And you are co-creating a situation where your relationship is going to stay depolarized. And it's probably going to build up a lot of resentment, especially from you over time. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You must choose for yourself that you are not going to be in the masculine role in a relationship. Not 100% of the time, not 50% of the time, not 10% of the time. You have to choose, I'm going to be in the feminine role. And the feminine role is an amazing place for a woman to be. It's not about being less than a man in any kind of way. It's like, the saying, like, I'm going to put you in your place, where a man is kind of speaking from superiority. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your place is equally as important, equally as valuable, equally as beautiful. But it's not in the leading role. It's not in the caretaking role, because that's a man's role. Your place as a woman is beautiful because that's where you just get to flow. That's where you get to open up. That's where you get to be vulnerable. That's where you get to not lead. You get to follow, and that's just as important of a role as the man's role. You get to be taken care of, because that's what this is all about. Like, we can talk about polarity from a leading, following angle. It's very important. A giving angle versus a receiving angle for the woman, also important. But what this really boils down to is the man is in the caretaking role. He is there to take care of you. You are not there to take care of him. You are there to be taken care of. And this can be a challenging message for some women to receive. If your feminine self-worth is not fully online, you don't believe that you're fully worthy of that, you need to be reciprocating in all of these kind of ways. But a man feels good, a masculine man, when his instinct is online, he feels good taking care of you. Okay? He loves it, and he needs it. He also needs your respect, he needs your gratitude, he needs you to not resist him, he needs a whole bunch of things from you in that way. But when he gets that, he feels good, he feels inspired to want to take care of you more. You don't have to take care of him. That's not the way that a man feels good in a relationship. That doesn't mean you're not going to be doing anything for him, right? In a polarized, at least a traditional polarized relationship, you're going to be cooking the meals, or at least the vast majority of the meals. You'd be cleaning. Obviously, there's many ways to have a polarized dynamic, of course. You know, in many relationships, the woman is going to be working if she chooses to, and if the man is okay with it as well. And so chores and stuff might be differently divided. But in a traditional relationship anyway, which I personally believe is best and it will feel best, the man is the one that's fully financially providing, and the woman is the one that is taking care of the home. And then you're taking care of him in that kind of way, but it's from a place of submission rather than from a place of giving to him, like doing things for him, anticipating his needs. That's all a masculine orientation. All you have to do to take care of him, well, it's actually not quite so simple now that I say it. I was going to say all you have to do to take care of him is to follow his leadership, but it's a bit trickier than that. Because a man's leadership, like mine used to be, can often be to lead you into the masculine role, into a role where you are taking care of him. If you drive a man around town, you're going to feel something off in your body, unless you're fully dissociated from your feminine instinct. You don't feel taken care of in that moment. And it's because you are more in the caretaking role. You're more in the leading role, even if he has led you to do that. We used to do really long trips to come up to Northern Ontario because that's where my parents lived, and we lived down south in Toronto. This is in Canada. And it was like 8-hour trips, and I used to lead her to drive about half the time because I was lazy and I wanted to sleep through some of it and do stuff on my phone, and that was fair, right? It's 50-50. We're both participating in this. You know how it works now? I drive 100% of the time. I don't let her drive. She doesn't want to drive either, but I wouldn't let her drive unless I was so exhausted that it becomes an actual safety issue, and then that would be different. But otherwise, I want to drive the entire time. And here's the thing, I feel good about driving the whole time because I am doing something for her. This is an act of taking care of her, so that she doesn't have to be in that role of having to drive and have to be more in her masculine energy to do that. She just gets to go along for the ride as my passenger. That's how it's supposed to be. So, if you were not lucky enough, if you're not in a relationship right now, or if you are in a relationship where you've got a man who is leading you to lead in some way, not necessarily overtly and directly, like, hey, you're going to drive half the time. It could just be through this general expectation you can feel from him. It can be from this like negative, mopey energy that you can feel from him if you're not doing what he wants you to do. Whatever it is, the way to shift this is with feminine communication. It's to get really vulnerable, feel what you are feeling inside of yourself, share those feelings vulnerably, ask him for help with those feelings, explain what the problem is without blaming him in any kind of way, without putting it on him. You're sharing what the problem is for you. This is feminine communication. This is opening up. This is exposing yourself. This is letting him know what you're experiencing without trying to get any outcome from him whatsoever. He needs to understand your pain. He needs to understand how he is negatively affecting you and negatively affecting the relationship without being energetically blamed for it. And what this is going to do for most men, not all men, but for most men, they're going to reflect on that and realize like, yeah, I don't want to be having that kind of negative impact. And he's going to want to start shifting more into a masculine role with you. Now, this can be greatly impacted by how wounded he is, and the wounds are going to take time to shift. But you've got to be willing to honor your heart, put your heart first, be willing to lose the entire relationship or the date, like if you've been on a few dates with a guy and he starts doing something like that, you've got to be willing to lose it all to be able to honor yourself. Because you're either going to be abandoning your heart or you're going to be risking abandonment of the relationship. It's going to be one or the other. You have to be willing to risk abandoning the relationship. There's no other way. But there's another piece to this. Your man needs something in the relationship too. He needs reciprocation. Just the reciprocation is going to look different. He needs to be able to feel your respect. He needs to be able to feel your reverence for him. The more that he can feel that, the less that he's going to want to lead you into this kind of role in the first place. Because that respect, that reverence, especially when you're honoring your heart at the same time, by not enabling his own wounded patterns, the more that you do that, the more it's going to activate that masculine instinct in him. He's going to feel that desire to want to cherish you, to want to be in the caretaking role, and to not want to be taken care of by you. This is magic. Like, we're talking about instincts here. This is very primal. This is not something that you need to teach him. These are not concepts that he needs to learn. You just need to activate that instinct that is already inside of him. It might be somewhat buried, but it is inside of him. And you do that with your feminine energy and by expressing yourself using feminine communication. And the more that you do it, the more his instinct comes online, the more that he wants to cherish you, the more that he wants to plan dates, the more that he wants to pay for everything, the more that he wants to drive you around, the more that he wants to make your life easier and easier and unburden you and just make you feel good and happy and loved. Make you know on every level how much he loves you and values you as his woman. And this is what I help women do. This is how we can turn your relationship around. If you're in a relationship or if you're single, can help you find that kind of really powerful masculine man who wants to take care of you. This is what we do in our academy program for women, by teaching these women feminine communication and showing them how to shift into their feminine energy, how to shift out of their control patterns, out of their masculine energy. And if you'd like to learn how to do that too, and you'd like some help learning how to do that from us, then go below this video, open up the description. You're going to see the links to all of our offers. Go to the academy offer at thedreamrelationship.com. You're going to watch a video all about how we can help you make these shifts. And then below that video, if everything resonates for you, there is a button below to book a call with me. And then we can talk all about your love life, your control patterns, figure out what's going on. I'll give you some coaching. And then if you're right for the academy and us helping you, then we can talk all about it. And we can get started completely transforming your love life. I'll see you on the call. That's it for this one.